Hello everyone. In this video we will quickly cover the summary of the topic ratios and the types of questions that you guys can face in your GCSE and IGCSE level exams. So let's start off. What are ratios? It is just another way to express the information whether two or more quantities are being compared. Okay, now we have to remember two things whenever any information is being expressed in the form of ratios. What are those two pieces of information? The first one is that ratio is always in the simplest form and ratio has no units. Okay, that means whenever any information is given, let's say I provide you the ratio of two lengths or two dimensions. If nothing is mentioned over there, I would automatically should know that I have to express that into the simplest form and it would contain no units. So in case this kind of question is given to me, it's pre-understood that I have to make the unit same and then simplify it. So we have to apply these two processes always in order to express any information in the form of ratio. Okay, now the very first question that you guys can face is that you have to calculate the ratio. Let's do question number 1 and then I'll probably will do 3 and 5. I'll leave these two for you. Okay, so 2:10. Again, I will apply these two concepts. I have to express this in simplest form. So 2:10, I will think about a number that will simplify both of these numbers, and that is 2. So dividing both of these by 2 will give me 1:5, and that is the final answer. Okay, now let's do question number 6 over here. Now whenever 3 or 4 or as many ratios as you can think of, whenever more than 2 ratios are involved, and I can see over here it's decimal and fraction is involved as well, our approach should always be to convert everything into the fraction form, take the LCM of the denominator so that the denominator is same, and then we will cancel out the denominators. Okay, so this will become, I'm going to express this in fraction, so it will become 6/10 ratio 15/2 ratio 72/100. And now I will take the LCM, that would be 100, and this would become, I'll times it by 10 on both sides, so 60/100. I'll times it by 50, so 750/100, and then this is already 100, so 72/100. Now once the denominator is same, I'll cancel out the denominator and I'll simplify the above expressions. So 60 ratio 750 ratio 72. Let's cancel all these by 3. It's going to be 20 ratio 250 ratio 24. I can see that they can be simplified further. So let's simplify them by 2. It's going to be 10 ratio 1:5 ratio 1:2. So that should be my final answer. Okay, and in this one, if I quickly do it, I have to make the unit same so that I can cancel out the units. So converting this into the grams first, it would be 2500 grams ratio 750 grams, and then afterwards you can simplify it. So I'll leave you guys to it. Type 2, that is the increase and decrease in ratios. Remember this thing, students often confuse it or mix it with the increase and decrease in percentages. Whenever there is an increase or decrease in ratio, it's quite simple. You don't have to do anything except you just have to multiply. Right? So for example, if it says increase 25 in the ratio 5/3, I have to find out the result. So it would just be 25 times 5/3. That's it. And if I simplify it, it's going to be 25 times 5 is 125 divided by 3. Whatsoever it is in decimal, you'll write down the final answer. It's going to be 41 point blah blah blah, whatsoever it is. Okay, so you do not have to do any other thing except just multiply that number in by that ratio. That's it. You don't have to do any other thing. Alright, now why is it increase, why it's not decrease? It depends on the numerator or the denominator. If the numerator is bigger, that means if I'm, have a look here, if I'm increasing this number by this ratio, obviously I will get a bigger answer. Now why I've used the word increase? Because the numerator is bigger. In case the denominator was bigger, if you have a look on to this example, I can see now the ratio is 1/3. The denominator is bigger, right? Now it should contain the word decrease, and that's what it says over here. It says decrease 9 in the ratio 1/3. It won't say you decrease 9 in the ratio 5/3. That's wrong, right? So that is why, again, in this question we will just multiply 9 times 1/3. We'll get the answer. Okay, let's quickly do question number 3 as well. Now this one says a number when increased in the ratio 7/5. Now I do not know the number. Let's assume that as x when increased in the ratio 7/5. So if I times it by 7/5, I will get 35 as a result. And then afterwards I have to find the number. That means I have to find this x. I will simplify this equation, and this would become x equals to 5 times 35 divided by 7. I'm gonna cross it out straight away from here. So the final answer would be 25. Got it? So that was the type 2. Type 3, which is the most important of all, is scenario based. And there's one simple technique that I will provide to you guys, and whenever you will apply this technique, hopefully you'll be able to get done with all of these questions as well. So a scenario will be given to you, and then you have to simplify that word problem. Let's do this example. It says divide 35 in the ratio 1/2/4. Now a quick hint or a technique what we will apply on all of the questions is, we have to think about a number they are simplified with, right? We have to divide 35 in this ratio. Now think about it in this way, that 35 is divided in 1/2/4. That means originally, because it's a simplified form already provided to us, originally they were being cancelled out by a single number, and we always have to find out that single number. It's kind of a reverse process we are doing in order to go from a simplified form to the original form. So let's assume that number as x. So originally it was 1x, 2x and 4x. Okay, and then when we simplified it, we cancelled out all the x, and then we got 1/2/4. Got it? So using the same technique, I can simplify literally all the scenario based questions of ratios. Now let's have a look. How would I apply this information here? So originally it was 1x, it was 2x, it was 4x, right? And we have to divide 35 in these ratios. That means if I add all the original components up, it should result in 35. So 1x plus 2x plus 4x, so 3x plus 4x is 7x, would be equal to 35. As I always say, there are two parts in mathematics. One is to form the equation, second is how to solve that equation. So we have formed the equation, let's solve it now. I'll divide x on the other side. It's going to be 35 by 7, that is 5. Okay, so what would be the original components? It would be 1x, that means 5, ratio 2x, that means 2 times 5 is 10, ratio 4x, that means 4 times 5 is 20. So that's the final answer. So always remember, think it in this way, that the simplified form is provided to us. Originally it was being cancelled out by a single number. Assume that number as x and see what information is provided to you. Use that information to form the equation, and then afterwards solve that equation. Okay, let's do, I'm gonna do this one. A rope is cut into 3 parts in the ratio 2:3:5. Given that the smallest part had length of 6 centimeters. Again, some information is given. I'm going to assume that this originally was 2x, this was 3x, this was 5x, and then afterwards it was simplified, right? What information is given to me? The smallest part had a length of 6 centimeters. What is the smallest part? It's 2x. So this information is given to me. 2x in actual was equal to 6 centimeters. I formed the equation. I can straight away simplify it and say that x was equal to 6 by 2 is 3. That means the number they were simplified with was 3. Let's see what we have to find out. It says find the length of the largest part. So once we have find this out, that number they were simplified with, we can easily say the largest part was 5x, and that was 5 times 3, that is 15 centimeters. As simple as that. Total length of the rope. So total length of the rope, if I add it up, 2 plus 3, 5 plus 5, 10x. So 10 times 3 would be 30. Got it? So using this technique, you will be able to solve all the scenario based questions. I will leave this example for you guys, or if you want to attempt any of the past paper questions, just use this technique, you will be able to do that. Last type, that is the type 4, is whenever you are provided with the ratio of two different quantities, which contains one common quantity, just like here, and then you have to express all of those three in one ratio. Okay, now what is the technique here? Have a look here. A ratio B is given, B ratio C is given. I can see B is the common element here, right? And I have to express in A ratio B ratio C. So whenever you are experiencing such questions, the technique is to make that common variable or common pronumeral same in both of the expressions. So I can see the value of B is corresponding to 4, value of B over here is corresponding to 5. So I will take the LCM of 4 and 5 just so that I can write that B as ones in this expression. Okay, so the LCM of 4 and 5 I know is 20. I'm going to multiply it by 5 and multiply this by 5 as well, because again ratio is another way to express any information. And if there are two pronumerals involved or two values involved, how can we express them in a ratio? We can also say that this is basically a denominator and a numerator, right? It's a fraction. So if I'm multiplying this number 4 or the denominator by 5, I have to multiply the numerator by 5 as well, so that the net effect is 1. That means I'm not changing the fraction in any way, right? Okay, so for this one, again I have to make this as 20. I'll multiply it by 4, and because I multiply the numerator by 4, I have to multiply the denominator by 4 as well. So this would become 20 ratio 44, and this will become 15 ratio 20. Now I can easily express it in the form of A ratio B ratio C, because I can see B is same in both of these components. It's 20 here, 20 here. So this will be 15 ratio 20 ratio 44, and that's my final answer. Once I have converted it into the ratio containing A ratio B ratio C, now I can easily tell the relationship between A and C as well. Okay, so what would be A ratio C? That would be equals to 15 ratio 44, and I cannot simplify them further, so that is the final answer. Got it? So these are the only 4 types of questions that you'll be facing in your GCSEs or in your IGCSE exams. It doesn't matter, either you are from Edexcel board or Cambridge board, or it's AQA or OCR or CCEA, whatsoever the board it is. Using these 4 type of questions, you can always solve your exam questions containing the ratios. Righty.